Uncertainty often greets you before the alarm even rings, whispering that the coming hours may demand more than you possess. Yet observe how the awakening sky spreads its first blade of light across your room, nudging the spark already burning inside. In this hush of stillness, heaven bends low, and the God whose unfailing strength outshines every shadow invites you to shelter beneath his steady brilliance. As Psalm 27:1, the Lord is your light and salvation, no dusk can swallow one so guarded. He calls you to place restless plans at his feet, to breathe, and to let his morning breeze sweep worries from your mind like loose strands of night. His radiance dispels fear, and his presence steadies every trembling thought. Which burden will you release into those faithful hands, and what quiet yearning will you dare to voice in his listening silence? Now, as your heart grows calm, you step forward, guided in every next step, fortified by inner strength, and appointed to become a radiant witness of dawn, forged grace. Let the horizon teach your eyes to search for hope, and let the soft chorus of waking birds remind you that new beginnings sing before you speak. You steer beneath a quilt of fading shadow as pale ribbons of daylight slip across your room, and every filament of brightness seems to whisper your name. You breathe in crisp morning air that tastes like promise, sensing that creation itself is leaning forward, urging you to rise. This is no ordinary sunrise, it is the Maker's gentle trumpet, proclaiming that fresh mercy has arrived exactly on schedule. You feel yesterday's regrets trying to cling like dew, slick cobwebs, yet notice how even cobwebs scatter when touched by gold. Step toward the window. Let the horizon draw your gaze beyond concerns that waited all night to ambush your thoughts. As lavender melts into amber, remember that God chose light to begin every story. Let there be still echoes, and your soul answers, let there be in me. So Genesis 1:3, the first spoken word of history, continues to reverberate. You live inside its resonance. That decree grants you permission to start again, unafraid of the voids you notice. Allow the radiance to rest on your face, as though heaven traces each feature with warm fingertips. You stand silently, yet much is happening. Fears shrink, clarity stretches awake, purpose yawns and straightens its spine. It dawns on you that awakening is not merely physical, it is spiritual calibration, the realignment of inner compass with divine true north. The psalmist calls the Lord a sun and shield, and you taste both comfort and courage in that dual image. Illumination paired with protection. Pause to notice the small orchestra outside, a thrush's first trill, wind chimes trembling, leaves applauding with quiet rustle. They perform an involuntary hymn to the one who holds all rhythms, and you are invited to join the chorus. Whisper thanks for breath, for heartbeat, for the fragile yet fierce pulse of hope you feel right now. Gratitude widens the doorway through which revelation walks. Yet awakening light not only reveals beauty, it exposes the clutter you tried to ignore. You glimpse impatience, hidden pride, lingering resentment. Do not flinch. Light reveals so it can heal. Offer those shadows to the Father who never shames, only shapes. Psalm 1 John 1:7. When you walk in the light, fellowship with Him grows real, and every stain loses strength to define you. Now envision the day ahead as a blank parchment lying on a sun-drenched desk. You hold no pen. Instead, you surrender it to the author of grace. You ask him to inscribe the hours with sentences of kindness, paragraphs of wisdom, and footnotes of unexpected joy. In that surrender, you discover paradoxical freedom, because relinquishing control invites sovereign artistry. Finally, breathe once more, deeper now, and sense a gentle energy threading your muscles as if each cell absorbs dawn. That vigor is borrowed, not manufactured. You step back from the window, already taller inside, carrying a lantern lit by heaven. Carry it into breakfast, conversation, commute, every hallway. Wherever you move, morning will continue, because you bring its essence with you. Lamentations 3:22-23. Steadfast love arrives fresh each morning. Mercy never sleeps, therefore hope remains impossible to exhaust. You feel the brightness still warming the outer world. Yet now attention turns inward, where quiet embers glow beneath everyday thought. Deep within the chest, behind the pulse, a spark gifted by God already burns, small as a candle, fierce as a star. It has survived sleepless nights, endured bitter winds of disappointment. And even when covered by ash of self, doubt it never went out. This morning you choose to kneel beside that ember, cupping it with surrendered breath, inviting Holy Spirit air to fan it to life. Close your eyes, imagine a hearth in a mountain cabin where dawn winds whistle outside, but inside the tiniest coal reddens. One whispered prayer becomes bellows. Gratitude adds tinder. Confession behaves like a steady hand adjusting logs so oxygen flows. Soon orange tongues rise, casting dancing patterns across timbered walls of memory, and every flicker hushes accusations that once echoed there. Light from without has awakened you, but light from within now illuminates hidden corridors, reclaiming corners once ruled by shadow. 2 Timothy 1:6. Stir up the gift of God already deposited. Divine potential waits not to be invented, but unveiled. You recall moments when that internal flame burst brightly. Times compassion moved you to lift a weary friend. Moments creativity streamed like river. Mornings worship lifted heavy atmosphere. Each recollection is evidence that the spark is real, not a figment of wishful thinking. Yet the flame requires intentional tending. Choose fuel wisely, scripture read slowly, melodies of praise, walks where nature's chorus mingles with silent prayer. Guard against damp logs, cynicism, comparison, hurried distraction. Each can smother the glowing core. Let imagination picture today as a lantern carried through hallways still dim. Your inner spark is the flame inside that glass, and your words become perforations through which beams escape. Speak kindness and watch corridors brighten. Speak truth in love and corners straighten from crooked fear. Even silence can shine when it rests in gentle confidence rather than anxious withdrawal. Let courage spark ideas, creativity map solutions, resilience carry them through. Notice also that fire brings warmth, not only light. People crossing your path may arrive frost, bitten by rejection or chilled by loss. Offer presence like a campfire beside a cold trail. Sometimes no sentence is needed, a listening ear, patient smile, or shared tear extends radiant heat into shivering souls. As warmth flows outward, supply flows inward. The flame fed by compassion never diminishes. It multiplies. Because fire consumes, surrender residues of ego that still cling. Present ambitions, grudges, hidden addictions as dry branches, and watch them crackle into harmless ash. Transformation is seldom tidy, yet beauty emerges in the glow of yielded timber. When all is surrendered, Fragrance like cedar rises, pleasing to the one who tends every hearth. Finally, take a deliberate breath and sense rhythm between inhale and exhale, flame and fuel, giving and receiving. Promise to return throughout the day, even for 30-second pauses, breathing fresh oxygen onto the coals when tasks threaten to smother them. In this habit, you become keeper of sacred flame, steward of an inner sunrise that outlasts weather and circumstance. Lift your chin, feel heart, heat spreading along veins, and step away knowing dawn is no longer confined to sky. It has taken residence within ribcage and soul, ready to color the ordinary in shades of holy fire. You move from inner flame to quiet space, a clearing untouched by any footfall of noise. Here the air feels almost transparent, as though even molecules pause out of reverence. No breeze stirs the curtains, no screen flashes. Only the soft metronome of your breathing breaks the hush. This pause is not empty, it is medicinal. Like mountain mist rinsing dust from pine needles, silence descends to bathe thoughts dulled by constant chatter. And you sense grime of worry loosening its grip. Picture a hidden tarn high in alpine country. Water rests so still that sky and granite mirror each other without wrinkle, and yet beneath that glass tiny springs continue their unseen work, feeding and refreshing. Stillness for you is that surface, grace is the underground inflow. You do not manufacture peace, you allow it. Knees bend, shoulders release, palms open, and each exhale sweeps yesterday's residue toward the edge where spirit currents carry it away. Settle deeper. Notice how heartbeats stretch farther apart, creating intervals wide enough for divine whisper to pass through. In those intervals, forgotten memories float up. An argument, an anxious scroll through headlines, a sharp comment you regret. Instead of swatting them back under, hold them lightly. Then let the quiet water absorb their weight until they sink beyond reach. You do not ignore truth, you present it for laundering, and gentle ripples dissolve the stain. Silence also polishes perception. When outer clamor fades, you hear subtle notes, the hush between bird calls, the faint hum of a refrigerator, the distant murmur of streets waking. Each sound becomes a reminder that quiet does not erase life, it clarifies it, separating melody from static. So too within, the shepherd's guidance had been whispering all along. Now you distinguish voice from echo and feel compass align a degree closer to true. While you linger, imagine hands cupping cool spring water and lifting it to forehead. Thoughts feel rinsed, but also motives, ambitions, hidden cravings. What remains is a simple desire to love well today. Pride, the grit that scratches every relationship, slides away under this liquid mercy. Suspicion and envy follow. Skin tingles with fresh oxygen as pores of the soul unclog. Do not rush to stand. Let calm complete its cycle like rain finishing across terrace tiles. When the last droplet falls, ground smells new, and roots begin their silent drink. You are that soil, eager for tomorrow's fruit yet content to absorb. Quiet fosters depth. Depth anchors growth that wind cannot topple. Eventually the moment will ask you to rise, but you will rise different, lighter, cleansed, supple. Carry one practice with you, a silent count to 4 on inhalation, 4 on release, wherever stress lurks. Each measured breath recreates this clearing in miniature, inviting living water to flow again. Now eyelids lift, senses sharpened yet calm, and you glimpse common objects, mug, keys, notebook, gleaming as though washed overnight. The world has not changed, your vision has. Stillness has sluiced windows of perception, permitting light from both dawn and soul to meet unhindered, promising that whatever the day coats in dust can be rinsed again at dusk. You rise from stillness ready to meet the open road. Yet before a single footstep lands, you receive an unseen infusion, like sap surging through winter, bare branches when spring heat thaws the bark. This energy is not caffeine's jolt nor adrenaline's flare. It is mercy, distilled vigor poured directly from the Father's heart into your sinews. You sense it first as certainty settling in marrow today is conquerable because grace is inexhaustible. Shoulders square, spine uncoils, and the slow drum of confidence begins to beat, steady, measured, unstoppable. Imagine an eagle waiting atop a cliff, feathers ruffled by gusts that would overwhelm smaller wings. It does not flap frantically. It spreads pinions wide and lets the wind that once threatened become lift. Your challenges, deadlines, conversations, lingering grief are similar gusts. When embraced with trust, they transform into currents that carry you higher than effort alone could manage. Isaiah 40:31, those who hope in the Lord renew their power. They soar, run, and walk without collapse, because endurance flows from a source beyond muscle. Strength here is holistic. Muscles find stamina for honest work. Mind gains clarity to sift truth from rumor. Spirit expands, refusing to fold under criticism or delay. You walk into the kitchen, perhaps to pack lunch or pour water, and notice your movements feel synchronized with purpose, as though invisible sheet music guides every gesture. This orchestration is subtle but sure, turning routine into liturgy. Tying laces becomes commissioning, locking the door a benediction. Recall moments when weariness once silenced your song. The afternoon slump that muddied thoughts. The season when disappointment spread like frost across hope. Compare that memory with the pulse you feel now. Realize that renewed strength is not merely restored energy, it is refined resilience. Scars remain but no longer ache, they testify. Failures remembered no longer accuse, they instruct. Like iron folded again and again in the forge, your character has gained temper, flexibility, shine. To steward this gift, choose nourishing habits. Breakfast of wholesome food rather than hurried crumbs. Brief stretches that remind joints they are temples. Words spoken aloud from sacred texts that retune inner frequencies. Each practice acts as latticework supporting climbing vines of vitality. Avoid the trap of frantic multitasking that scatters power into fragments. Instead, focus on one assignment at a time, letting completion release fresh momentum for the next. Strength also travels outward. Colleagues sense newfound steadiness and lean closer. Children or elders mirror your calm. Projects once stalled inch forward because your composed presence diffuses panic. Remember the principle of overflow. What bulges in your cup will spill. Guard the contents by returning often to the well. Brief prayers between emails. Gratitude whispered while waiting at red lights. A walk at midday to inhale sky instead of fluorescent glare. Accept, too, that some days will still feel heavy. Clouds may obscure sun, and muscles may protest. In such hours the promise remains endurance, not ease, is the measure. You can fall 7 times and rise 8 when strength is covenant rather than commodity. Let setbacks become reminders to recharge rather than invitations to quit. Whisper, breathe again, and feel heavenly oxygen refill the chambers. As you leave home, key turning, door clicking shut. Treat the threshold like a finish line reversed. You break through not exhausted, but primed, ready to distribute vigor in meetings, errands, quiet service, and courageous kindness. Evening will come, yet even then candles of endurance will still burn, evidence that dawn's reservoir exceeds calculation. Walk on, carrying this renewable power like light inside every stride. You walk into morning streets where cool pavement still carries silver traces of dawn, and every breath feels like a map unfolding beneath your ribs. Traffic murmurs, shop doors creak open, and birds stitch invisible threads across sky. Yet amid the motion, a subtler current tugs at your spirit, gentle, unhurried, precise. It is the same presence that lit the embers and cleansed the quiet, now acting as compass within each stride. You sense questions arising. Which task deserves first focus? What tone should flavor that difficult conversation? How can you serve, not dominate, in the meeting ahead? Answers drift toward you like leaves settling on water when wind calms. They arrive as nudges, not commands, invitations, not ultimatums. To recognize them, lower the volume of assumption. You practice listening with whole body, eyes noticing patterns, ears filtering beneath noise, heart attuned to small pulses of peace or hesitation. When an idea surfaces warm and steady, you mark it as guidance. When another sparks anxiety or pride, you hold it until either clarity steadies it or silence dissolves it. You discover that direction often hides inside simplicity. Reply to the email honestly rather than cleverly. Choose forgiveness on the phone before self-defense gathers. Buy an extra sandwich because someone hungry will cross your path. Obedience in small cues unlocks larger clarity, like stepping stones, revealing the next only when foot lands on the previous. Imagine hiking a forest trail before full daylight. A thin beam from your headlamp illumines 3 meters ahead. Beyond that is shadow. Yet enough is shown for safe footing. So too, daily guidance rarely sketches the entire route. Instead, light travels one decision at a time, teaching trust through progression. You learn to move with poise, neither racing to outrun illumination, nor freezing from fear of unknown bends. Pace becomes prayer in motion, and ordinary streets feel scented with cedar and adventure. When crossroads appear, offer accepted or declined, vision framed or postponed, you pause. You breathe the 4-count rhythm you practiced in stillness, allowing rush to drain. You ask, which choice multiplies love? And wait for resonance. Sometimes a gentle weight settles in chest, pointing true. Sometimes silence persists, and you select the path that best aligns with wisdom cultivated so far, confident that even detours can be woven into purpose. For guidance is not brittle, it flexes like willow, correcting with quiet pressure rather than condemnation. Throughout the day, keep a small notebook or a notes app where fleeting insights land before they evaporate. A sentence overheard, a name remembered, a sudden burden to pray becomes breadcrumb on the route. Review them at coffee break, evening commute, bedtime reflection, patterns emerge, and you marvel at choreography invisible in real time. Gratitude deepens because you see you were never self-directed. You were accompanied. Remember also to acknowledge missteps without despair. If harsh words escape or impulse overrides patience, you stop, apologize swiftly, and resume. Paths are rarely linear, switchbacks climb mountains too. What matters is orientation toward true north, not flawless trajectory. Each correction sharpens discernment, just as sailors refine instruments after every storm. As sun climbs higher, you notice confidence replacing caution. Not arrogance, but settled assurance that even unpredicted turns will reveal new vistas. Your stride loosens, arms swing free, and you greet passers-by with eyes that sparkle like river water in morning light. Guided steps create guided presence. Others feel it and relax, sensing road signs of grace emanating from you. By midday, you realize guidance has become duet, your will harmonizing with divine melody. Notes rise and fall through tasks, conversations, creative bursts, brief rests. Evening will record a score richer than dawn imagined, and you will trace every bar back to this simple agreement. Listen, trust, move. Sun climbs towards zenith, gilding pavement and rooftops, yet the brightest glow walks inside your chest. You have become a moving dawn, a portable sunrise entering grocery aisles, office corridors, and shaded rooms where heavy curtains have not been pulled back for years. Each step leaves a faint trace of warmth, like footprints that shimmer then fade, reminding those who notice that ordinary ground can host holy procession. Think of yourself as a polished prism. When love strikes at the right angle, colors burst outward: scarlet mercy, indigo wisdom, golden joy. You do not strain to manufacture brilliance. You simply align with the source. Conversation becomes conduit. You listen without agenda. Affirm dignity in a world quick to label, and offer gentle corrections wrapped in respect. Small gestures, holding a door, remembering a name, sharing half of lunch, scatter sparks that may smolder long after you leave. Evening news or cynical chatter may attempt to dim your shine, whispering that one life cannot alter entrenched gloom. Yet fireflies mock such despair with every blink, proving that even pinpoints pierce vast dark. Your radiance is not blinding glare, but steady candle. It guides lost feet without arrogant glare, steady enough for fragile eyes to approach. When confronted by bitterness, you resist mirror reaction. Instead, reflect higher frequency. Calm, patient, unoffended. Matthew 5:6 let your light so shine before others that they see good deeds and glorify the Father. Luminosity is testimony, kindness the evidence, heaven the destination to which every ray points. Remember, light spreads through transparency. Admit mistakes quickly. Humility cleans glass so beams pass unfiltered. Share stories of struggle redeemed, letting scars refract hope rather than conceal it. In a classroom, boardroom, or kitchen, choose words that illuminate possibilities instead of spotlighting faults. Celebration, not comparison, magnifies brightness. Carry awareness too. That radiance attracts not only seekers, but also moths of envy or misunderstanding. Should criticism hover, keep focus on the one who fuels wick. Winds of disapproval only strengthen flames anchored in eternal oil. Whisper blessing over opponents, and notice how hostility loses appetite when fed grace. As afternoon wanes, sun slides behind treetops, and shadows lengthen across sidewalks. Your glow need not fade. Rather, dusk invites deeper hues, compassion grows richer, patience thicker, courage bolder. Streetlights ignite and find themselves greeted by your internal lantern. Cityscapes twinkle in duet with soul. Passing strangers cannot name the origin, but they sense atmosphere gentler because you occupy it. Finally, twilight settles. You stand beside window once more, watching last amber sliver dip below horizon. Days ledger records emails answered kindly, tensions soften, silent prayers whispered for unknown faces. You exhale thanks that light within never depletes. It cycles like tides, returning stronger with every surrender. Close curtains confident that even while you sleep, residual glow will linger in places you touched. Echoing silent invitation to others awaken, spark, cleans, strengthen, follow, shine. Pause now and envision every corner you will visit today painted with soft dawn hues because you entered carrying hidden fire. Whisper gratitude for strength loaned and guidance received. Commit to tending inner flame through brief breaths of prayer, letting mercy refill lantern glass. Ask yourself, who might notice hope because I choose calm? Let that question orbit your mind, steadying motive and sharpening love. Breathe slowly, 4 counts in, 4 counts out, and feel quiet radiance settling like dew upon spirit. Hold the silence, allowing light to deepen its roots within.